Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terror Boys over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
What's going on, Turn 2 Terribles? What's going on? This is episode 24. As FDS up here says it, let's get it. We are here fresh off of...
Let's go.
Yeah, this is the special episode for Chris, I guess, huh?
Rip the top, boys.
Rip the top. Fresh off a championship weekend. Kind of
ripping the top.
Yeah, where there was no ripping the top at all. Both NASCAR and World of Outlaws ended this weekend. Pretty much the racing season is put to a close now. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to recap all that, some of the storylines from there, and we'll also talk about some of our iRacing stuff. Full Throttle is getting down to its final race, as we just had Phoenix last weekend, and we have the Posse banquet tomorrow night that we're getting prepped for, so that should be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's jump into NASCAR. We'll start with trucks. Zane Smith won the truck championship, won the race on a late restart over Ben Rhodes. Not much else really to say there.
It sounded like he battled back.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's what I say. It sounded like I was trying to watch. I think I fell asleep. No, I got back late and was watching it on replay. But yeah, it sounded like he battled back. He was pretty solid truck most of the race. Had some issues and battled back to win. So good congrats to him.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him kind of up front there. You know, John Hunter was with him for a while running, and he was kind of the top contender. And then, you know, I saw the last restart and had all of them right there. So at least, you know, they figured out how to get to the front and make it some sort of a show for the last couple laps there. So it was mildly entertaining.
I was pissed because
the 38 truck was the one to beat for sure.
I think he was all season, to be honest. If it wasn't him, it was John Hunter who didn't make it. So,
right.
I was a little pissed that it started at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I could not stay awake for it. It's just I don't know why they started it so late. I know they had some other stuff going on. They had an ARCA race and everything, so I get it, but kind of hard pressed to get people to stay up till almost 12:30, 1 in the morning to watch a truck race. So, in my opinion, so I didn't really get to see much of it at all. But
what are Zane's plans next year?
I don't know.
I'm hearing. I saw today one thing. It sounds like Front Row is fielding a Cup car for Daytona, potentially for him, for the Daytona 500, which would put presumably all three champions of this year in the 500. I'm guessing it'll probably come out with the coming weeks here. He has to go Xfinity, right? Like he's not staying in trucks.
I don't know. He might stay in trucks another year to maybe I don't know. It depends what rides open up. I'm trying to think of what rides are open.
The problem for him is probably Haley Deegan, obviously being out of a ride. Well, I guess he is too now because that team is switching to Toyotas.
I think Zane could go right to Cup, to be honest, if a team's willing enough. I think he's.
I don't know if he should. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a weird deal because I think that he's definitely a talk of being that guy, but he has to race Xfinity, right? Like,
right. It's
to get some racecraft, learn.
It's a
huge
difference between trucks to Cup, and so he's what DGR Ford, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, he's front row.
38.
He's the 38. He's front row.
Front row truck. All right, so I mean, I guess it comes down to Ford. What do you do? Because Deegan, you're keeping her. You kind of want to keep them both.
She's got to go. She's just got to go to Xfinity next year.
Right, but I think
she's
they
obviously
both have to
better in that car than she is a truck.
Right, but I think from a Ford standpoint, you need them both. So do you expand your Xfinity program to get them both there in whatever team willing to do it? I don't know how.
I don't know if you need to. Is Riley Herbst going to be there next year?
That's true.
I haven't heard anything.
So maybe that's where Zane Smith
there
goes, and that might be the blessing that Stuart Haas needs.
Right.
I agree.
That would be a great driver to put in there, but maybe he sticks. Maybe Zane seems kind of like a loyal guy. Maybe he'll come up through. Maybe be the guy to replace McDowell, or if Todd Gilliland doesn't work out.
That can't be his goal, though. His goal is not to run a front row car in the Cup Series.
But to get up,
not yet. Front row has been impressive this year, but they're not been that. I mean, I guess they're outperforming SHR for what it's worth, but still, I think so. You have the '98 with Herbst, you have the '07 as a Ford. Bring the 00 back, a second SHR car. You can kind of have all three if you wanted.
Man, I don't know if SHR has.
Right.
I know they. I'm not saying like they don't have the money, but I don't know if that's like they could barely handle the 4 cars that they have in Cup right now.
Right, it's weird. It'd be unfortunate for Zane Smith if he's not going to Xfinity.
Listen,
unless he's going straight Cup, but
Keselowski's not going to be there forever.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe he stays down in the Truck Series if he can't get an Xfinity ride, and maybe he's the guy that replaces Keselowski, because that would be a great move for that team. You have a young guy to build around with Chris Buescher. But I think Stuart Haas needs to be trying everything they can to get him.
I mean, I think Ford needs to figure out what their game plan is for a pipeline, and it's just kind of a mess right now. You know, when KHI had his deal going, whatever. Like Harvick seems to be a guy who I think he wants to be an owner, but he didn't. His timing was off. I think when he did it the first time. Still in the, his solid years of his Cup career. And kids coming up and this and that. I think that, when Kevin hangs it up, he, obviously Keelan, his racing career is going, but I think Kevin still wants to do something. I don't know if broadcasting is there, so does he become, team owner?
Maybe.
For Keelan to come up through and start a. I think it needs to be Xfinity. I don't think the truck is where it's at.
No.
You got to figure out how to get the Truck Series to be right. But as far as Xfinity goes in a Ford pipeline, like, you look at what Dale Jr. is starting to do with Carson Kvapil in his late model stock, and Josh Berry, and kind of what he's the Chevy pipeline. Because where's that at right now, right? Like, where's the Chevy pipeline? I think we look a lot of times. KBM could be that for the Truck Series and Chevy, and Dale Jr. for Xfinity cars, because they have all 4 of those cars are very, very good. Toyota has figured out this pipeline deal. Chevy and Ford have not quite figured it out. It's like. Who's going to take up that mantle of being the pipeline to Cup for these manufacturers? So,
right. There's even stories kind of piggyback on that before Jimmy cut in. Like I heard a thing where the KBM guys like William Byron leave Toyota to go to JRM because they're their best Xfinity cars, and now Toyota loses them. It's the same thing happening with Ford now. Like if they don't have them, if they don't get Zane Smith in Xfinity next year, they're in really real danger of losing him.
I don't know if they have to. I think if they say, hey, we got Kevin Harvick, we got Eric Almirola probably on the outs after next season, and Cole Custer, who the fuck knows? If Stuart Haas goes with them and be like, hey, we'll get you a part-time ride in Xfinity, you stay, with front row, maybe go win another championship in trucks, maybe give him some one-off rides in Cup, I think that might be a good move. I don't see where the full-time Xfinity ride is for him right now.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff there's still a lot of stuff with Xfinity. I don't think he wants to go to a shit Xfinity team either. I
Right.
think he'd rather stay at the top at Trucks, knowing that he's going to go to
I
Cup.
mean, it's the same exact. You shouldn't take if you're in a really good truck ride. I don't think you go for a below mid pack Xfinity ride.
Even where Haley Deegan's going isn't that promising.
Right, but
It's not
she's-
bad, but
But
it's
it's still,
for
but
that's
she's
not a
where
that has
she's
a,
been running at. That's okay.
that also hasn't been a full-time running outfit really either.
Right. So I think if you look at like what John Hunter did, leaving a lower tier Cup ride to go to a KBM truck.
Mhm.
Now we'll see how smart he looks now that that situation has completely changed. But at the time, that was genius. He's gonna stay relevant in a top tier truck.
Right.
And now, I mean, we don't know. But
Zane's still young. I think he could still do another year in trucks, try to do some Xfinity part-time, maybe even get a couple spot Cup starts. You never know. He got one this year, and he wasn't terrible, so we'll see. I think Stuart Haas needs to try to get him, though. I mean, they're going to have 2, if not 3 cars open after next year. You know, that he would be the guy. I think he's the most promising Ford prospect. Ryan Broderick saying Trackhouse has an offer for Kevin Harvick post-racing. That's interesting. That would be weird.
To do what?
Yeah, I don't know to do what.
maybe I know we're gonna touch on it. Maybe to do more of like a Jimmy Johnson-esque type thing,
Maybe.
Jeff Gordon-esque type thing.
Yeah. Well, let's get into Xfinity then. Xfinity was definitely I think that was the race of the weekend.
Seems to be a common theme with that series.
Yeah, really. I mean, those guys battled it out all race long. This was one of those races where I'm like, wow, Phoenix isn't a bad idea for a championship race because you had multiple grooves. They were racing hard all race long. And then you got to the Cup race on Sunday, and you're like, what the fuck is this? But but the Xfinity race was great. Ty Gibbs, and this kind of felt to be a theme of the weekend. There was one dominant car at every race. But the other guys had a shot. They had a shot if they had things fall into the place and maybe did something, but you really had to do something drastic to beat the dominant car.
So
and Ty Gibbs was that.
I watched that whole race. Early on, Ty Gibbs couldn't be touched. I think there was times in the second stages and third stage where he wasn't far and away the best car. Now, I think he had the best overall handling, and that's where it ultimately won out. But like Gregson and Allgaier could do things to really keep themselves in the race. And as the track cooled off, I mean, I guess they adjusted for it to figure it out. But I think if Gregson doesn't have that pit stop issue when the last pit stop, I think it's a closer fight than it already was. I think it's a side-by-side, Pocono style, straight duel, which would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Cool to watch.
That was one of my races of the year. You know, we'll probably do like a season in review thing, but man, that battle between Gibbs and Gregson at Pocono, this was very reminiscent of that. Just all race long, but very clean.
Right.
You know, a little bit of bumping here and there, very respectful, especially after all the shit talking all week, especially from Gregson's side, where he was just like just clearly not a fan of Ty Gibbs, and understandable. You know, it could have gotten ugly on the track, and it didn't. So I really respect. I think they showed a lot of maturity, and they are 2 of the brightest stars of the sport coming up to Cup at a good time.
And you go back to that Pocono race. We watched that last 20, 50, however long that last run is.
It was like 70 laps,
in person, expecting them to wreck every time. They were door to door, driving in deep, slide drops, never more than even maybe touched. And this was shaping up that same way. And I think if they both would have started up front, it would have been a really cool race. But, I mean, Ty Gibbs was the best car all day. Mm-hmm. Best car wins races. Sometimes best car makes races boring.
Allgaier,
Sunday.
Allgaier was definitely involved. He had to throw some haymakers and try to do some blocking to try to stay in front of Ty Gibbs at one point. That was really kind of a shot. He was fast to stay and hang, but he wasn't fast enough to hold off on a longer run. But he was definitely right there. He had a shot. If there was like a later restart, I think he had a good shot. I mean, there's a restart with like 30 to go or something like that. If it was like 10, 12 to go, I think he had a pretty good shot at taking it down. But Ty Gibbs had speed in the beginning, but he was by far the best long run car.
for sure. It was a
Jamie, what are your
good
thoughts
race.
on
It was
that?
entertaining. Restarts were wild for sure. Phoenix definitely provides that to get into the corners and allow for a slip up. And listen, they really ran the perfect race. They didn't have any mess ups on pit road. He had track position. The car was fast. Did everything right. And that's what you hope you have a car good enough to go win that race, and then you have everything else go right too, right? Because yesterday in the Cup race on Sunday, we saw the opposite: bad pit stops. Guy got his hand stuck, and like all this, like all this wild stuff happened in that race, and honestly, they did their job. I can't hate on that at all.
Right. It's a perfect race from Ty Gibbs, perfect race from the team, and there was no stopping them. I mean, outside of the track changing and just driving the hell that you said Allgaier was doing, and he was. They knew what they had. They knew they had to get it. So that's what this race is designed for, and that's what you got. And it worked out in the Xfinity Series.
I did kind of feel slightly bad for Ty before everything else happened. He got booed a lot, and rightfully so. We all know what happened at Martinsville. But the first thing he said, I mean, he got out of the car, he thanked his whole entire team, and it felt pretty heartfelt. And then he didn't even talk about the race. He didn't talk about the championship. He went right into, I felt so shitty for basically about what I did at Martinsville. And I appreciate that from him, but I kind of felt bad like that's his first stop. Want to know why? Because he's getting booed. And he even said that in one interview. He's like, he basically admitted it. I can't stand these boos. That's not me.
But these are the things
that
he's
he'll
young
learn.
enough that he can learn.
Yeah.
You don't like it, don't do those things. You're still going to hear boos.
Yeah.
Now, he was getting rained with him at Martinsville on Sunday for the Cup race.
It was bad at Phoenix.
And it was, right, it was equally bad at Phoenix. But in person at Martinsville, it rained, and that's terrible. But you do these things to yourself. And
absolutely.
Hopefully he takes this and uses it. That's part of the maturation of a driver, right? Mm-hmm. Like, be bigger brained here. You know the situation. You've been in meetings all week about the situation. I know you're going for a win, but mindfulness, and hopefully this maybe in the long run makes him a better driver.
I just kind of felt bad that we're gonna get into the other stuff, tragic stuff, but like that was his first stop when he got out of the car. It wasn't like, holy shit, I just won a championship. It was that. So I kind of felt a little bit bad about that. I mean, yeah, he put himself in that position. Don't get me wrong.
I feel a little bad, but I think it's a good thing that was his first stop in the car. Using that platform to at least try to come out with.
I mean, maybe it was a PR thing, but I don't think so. It seemed like a lot. No, it seemed like
it's a lot harder. Yeah. But I think that's a good time to come out with the rawness of it, and because you're on the major platform, and why not?
I mean,
the booze really getting to him.
Well, for sure. He's a young kid. I mean, why wouldn't it, right? He's not mature. He's not emotionally mature enough to handle that and play the part. He doesn't want to be the villain.
It was
like he made
right. It was just totally opposite of last. Exactly.
Well, he got his ass whooped. Like my guy got out of that car. I think you almost go back to the Gibbs organization and the Bubba Wallace thing with the 2311 and knowing he did it wrong and he was remorseful about it and he knew he fucked up, right? Like. Yeah, I think Ty's emotions 2 weeks ago where it got the best of him and said, look at me, like I won this race. I've been wanting to win this race. I went and did whatever I had to do to win this race. And obviously throughout the week, hindsight's 2020. You can go look back and go, oh, I messed up. But I think he got his ass whooped, to be honest, because you're absolutely right. Get out of the car and not think, yeah, I won the championship. Sure he is, but to get out of the car and say, listen, I screwed up. That was my teammate. I understand the repercussions. There are consequences for my actions. Do I believe that this is all past him? No, he's going to screw up again, okay?
Yeah.
But it does say something that he went, oh, right? Or someone got it through to him and he went, oh. It showed a little bit of humility about it and what it really meant as a bigger picture, right? Someone obviously had to go, listen, man, here's what's at stake. Here's what you messed up. Here's what this could have been. And he said all of those things that we said all week, like, bro, you took your teammate out. Instead of it being two Toyotas and 2 Chevys, you have 3 Chevys against 1 Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just
he had
that,
it.
but then it's your teammate. Like, he's winning the race. Okay, like there's so it's a maturity thing, and I think he'll get a lot of grace from a lot of people, and he'll never get any more from anybody from other people. Like, doesn't matter what he does, he's going to be that guy, and he won't win those other people over for a long, long time.
Right.
But people that are Toyota fans, Gibbs fans, in general, he yeah, okay, cool. Ty's our guy. Like that's okay. I mean, Kyle Busch still has fans.
And I think there's something to it. Like he mentioned in media stuff throughout the week about having to go into the shop and talk to those team guys, and that's probably a wake up call there. Like seeing like these are like your guys that are usually cool with you, but like buddy, you like whatever terminology they want to use, but like that's probably a wake up call more so than anything. And who knows what Joe or even Corey did during the week was just like, hey, what are you doing? Those team guys, those drivers know it. Like he's grown up around that shop with those guys. When it's very similar to when you have one of your people you grew up looking up to come to, and you did something that harmed their team, and you're like, man, I'm sure it has a bigger effect on you. Go ahead.
I wonder if part of the reason why Ty did what he did last week was because of him potentially having to replace Kyle Busch. Be like, hey, maybe I got to live up to this a little bit and embrace the villain role, do whatever it takes to win type of shit. I don't know. I wonder. Like, I'm more going like psychological, subconscious type of shit.
I'm going with he just wanted to win the race. It didn't fucking matter who was in front of him.
He literally said, "I just wanted a grandfather clock." And I think some of it went back to the spring race where he probably should have won.
Yeah.
And got beat around by
Sam
a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And we can talk about Sam Mayer. I mean, we know what Sam Mayer did there. Like whatever. Like he did just enough to be annoying. But come on, man, your car's junked.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's just part of it. He's 20 years old. Okay.
Yeah,
I think, and to Jeremy's point, in 20 years, he could have 5 Cup championships and 91 race wins. Everyone's going to still hate him, and he's going to retire, just like Jimmy Johnson. You know what? We watched a great driver for 20 years. I think that's the hope, right? That's the hope of what happens.
Yeah.
Just not passing 93 or else I riot.
The other thing I'll say before we get into what you're probably going to get into next is Noah's comments after as well. Get out of the car, and he talked a lot of shit on Ty this week, and I think admittedly he was genuine. He was genuine about his feelings. Like I don't like the dude, right? And that's going to probably continue for a long time until someday they get on common ground, if they do. But to get out of the car and have the humility and say, hey, we got beat today. He congratulated him. He was humble about that. I think there's game respect game a little bit as far as a race car driver goes.
Right.
He may not like Ty, but as a race car driver, he knows he's talented, right? And I think that to me showed a lot from Noah when Noah's had a lot of these moments of Ty Gibbs moments, right? Both of them. And really, if we look at it, Ty's getting a lot of the attention because of what he's done and his last name. But Noah gets a lot of grace from a lot of people because he races for the almighty
Dale Jr. Right. But,
right. So and he's done a lot of these bonehead ass moves.
It wasn't that long ago that Noah was doing these same things too, right? And he's cleaned it up since
right hooked that dude.
Right. And since that moment, he's been a different Noah. But even over the last few years, Noah has matured some.
Yeah, he's grown up.
He has, for sure.
And that's why I think it's interesting that he's allowed. Like, I think he's saying these things in some way because he generally doesn't like Ty, but also because he wants to help him. He's like, bud, I've been there. You can come through this. Maybe go work for Dale Jr., but who knows? But
I think he was trying to get in his head all week.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's the bigger one. And it
like he was living rent free up there, probably.
Like, he was the enemy at the point. At that point, you know what I mean?
And it almost worked out. And I mean, I'm here for it. Like, you want these rivalries? Like you talk about Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, same idea. They're two guys that were just rivals on the track for whatever reason. We need more rivalries. real ones.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have
We need
a
more
real one there.
personalities.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you got 2 unique ones coming into the Cup Series next year. Well, definitely one. We're presuming the other one. Nothing's
know.
official yet.
Well, we also don't
Um,
know
More
what
than
he's
that-
going to be
more than
like
that
next
coming.
year.
yeah.
AJ Allmendinger. I mean, you got
Oh, yeah.
you have some personalities coming in, and I think you're going to see more personality from other guys next year that you didn't see this year. I don't know necessarily who. I have thoughts, but I think you start to see more of this because I think sponsors will hang in there if you're not just being, just a clown. But I think
You need to get clicks these days
that's
in
right.
order to, you know what I mean? It's not
Right.
just as much as it's not good enough to just go out and win races or run well
And have the
And not-
corporate image.
and not tear up race cars. It's going out there and having that clip that gets shared around social media.
The Penske,
With
Hendrick clean cut age needs to go away a little bit.
Yeah.
They don't have to go all the way back here, but they can go a little bit over here and kind of meet in the middle.
Yep.
I think Ryan Blaney actually has
starting.
more personality than he shows.
Yep.
I
think
Oh,
so.
definitely.
I think it's a Penske thing, where like Chase Elliott has no personality, and I don't think he ever will show much of it, except emotion. Just off the cuff, I don't think he's just that guy.
No, he's just a calm guy from Georgia.
No, he's boring.
He's from Georgia.
It's just
Respect.
That's it, Georgia. Yeah, they're a little bit slower down there. You're right. Good call. No, but I think the personalities need to come through a little bit, good or bad.
Yeah.
If
If you watch the race for the championship, I've been watching that a little bit. I got to catch up on the last couple episodes. It's been pretty good. It's not the F1 on Netflix show, but because they miss a lot of shit, they seem to be only following a couple drivers. But one of them is Blaney, and you really start to see some of his, on something like that, you start to see a little bit more of his personality.
I think if you go back to before, this might be why the show doesn't exist anymore. He was on that podcast, Glass Case of Emotion. I really enjoyed it. He was back in Wood Brother days with that.
Yeah.
He's that quick little witty guy. I don't think he's a big talker, but when he does say something, it's usually hilarious. Even the NASCAR, that NASCAR Next reunion thing.
Yeah.
He just got the zingers. He's just
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
But
see it.
that in itself is a personality. You
Right.
don't have to be loud and talk
Right.
a lot for it to
And-
be a personality.
And I think Jay-Z's right a little bit. Like, if you look at like TJ Majors on DBC, for all the years he was with Pagano, it's been like, I don't know, whatever. And now he's willing to, poke the fire a little bit and see what's going on because he's with Brad and Brad's his buddy, so it's fine.
Yep.
Penske.
Right, he's not with Penske, and it's definitely, I mean, that's a way of life. That's Penske's choice, and if you go there, that's your choice, right? But I agree. Like, look at Trackhouse. They've reimagined all of it this year. Like, just like look at Justin Marks for his Halloween costume, doing the Chastain thing. Like, they're pushing the boundaries on what's not taboo in the NASCAR industry as far as their paint schemes, everything, top to bottom. It's been phenomenal
Yeah.
marketing.
No, I think they're
Almost like
definitely the new
trying
breed.
to attract millennials, run their team
Mm-hmm.
to attract a certain kind of
2311 is the same way. Not as far out of as Trackhouse, but they're definitely trying to appeal to a younger audience. Obviously, with Michael Jordan, Bubba Wallace, some of their sponsors, stuff like
Right.
that.
I mean, Trackhouse, I think, is on the right road. Like, they've got this thing figured out as far as from the marketing personality side. Like, let them be and defend them to the death. If they're your guy, they're your guy. We don't give a shit if Ross Chastain sends you to Mars. He didn't do anything wrong.
Daniel Suarez is super personable, bro.
Right. I mean, when he wants to be. Yeah, I mean, he has one there
No,
too. but-
he's got a decent personality. I think it's just maybe a disconnect because he speaks Spanglish, basically. You know what I mean? He
And
doesn't have great English and
he
stuff
also
like that.
hasn't had as many controversial moments as Ross Chastain. So you hear about Ross because Ross is involved. Suarez is quietly probably outran Ross most of the back half of the season.
Yeah, my most personal memorable moment of Daniel Suarez though is when he beat the shit out of Michael McDowell on pit lane. At Phoenix.
Like,
after
I think
qualifying.
Suarez needs to change his mindset a little bit. Don't go full Ross Chastain. Only
No, he
some
doesn't
special
need to.
folk. So go that, but he outran him the whole second half of the season.
Nobody needs to go full Ross Chastain, except for Ross Chastain.
That's true. It wouldn't be cool if anyone else did it.
It wouldn't. Trackhouse, 3 wins in the first half, 0 wins in the second half. That's a good point, but they ran well. They were consistently up in the top 10.
Mate, they were there every week.
They were there every week, but I do agree. I don't think they had winning speed the last half of the season.
Yeah, their second half.
He literally
P2
should have
in the
won
championship
Vegas.
Is not indicative of.
And
anyway, moving on.
Chastain could have won Vegas, buddy. Or should have won Vegas.
No, he should not have won Vegas. Joey was on fresh tires. He was going by him.
He was positioned, not should have won. That's the wrong word.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't. There weren't many memorable races where I like, oh, Chastain's like the dominant car in the second half of the season. Even when he won his races,
there wasn't even one of those in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, Talladega, he was
always just lurking around.
I'm not saying that because like I think Ross led the second or third most laps all season, so it's not. I'm not saying like he hasn't been there, but like I don't remember there's races lost where guys dominated and they're like, God, they should have won, or guys that did win, like they were the dominant car.
Right.
And I don't remember Ross being
any of those.
Daniel Suarez was at Sonoma when he won. He was one of the 3 cars that were dominant.
And he was one of the good cars at some other places, and things went wrong. I forget the tracks. I mean, Coda, he was good, but didn't get very far into it to prove it. But I think they were always lurking. They weren't necessarily the dominant car. There wasn't really many of those kind of races this year. They were always just there, somewhere between
there and
5th and 10th. 5th and 10th. Yeah, somewhere between there and
there. Yeah.
No, somewhere in the top 10, in position if some things went their way.
Getting stage points every stage, racking up those points.
They were just there, somewhere between like 5th
they
and 10th.
They were basically Brad Sweet all year.
Okay.
Which is nothing wrong with that. That's how you win points championships.
Not in the playoffs.
No, playoffs are different.
Fuck the playoffs.
Kevin Griffey says, I'd be curious to see what Set 410 Sprint Car team Justin Marks invests in. Hot rumor has he has an eye on the team. That would be cool. I think maybe he should slow his roll and just kind of stick on one thing. But I don't know. We're going to get into it a little bit with maybe later. But I did see that Roth is going with Toyota, which means I thought that was interesting. But
they have been.
We mean they have been.
The 83 Kerry Madsen's been running Toyota out
right,
all season.
Right. But I thought it was is that cutting off the ties with the KKR kind of partnership that they had?
Because of an engine?
Yeah.
I
don't think so.
Like
I think we all thought there was a connection, but how much of a connection was there? We don't know. Do we really know?
Right. I don't know.
I think we all assumed there was, but I don't think.
I mean, they said there was. That's
did?
it. Anyway.
Did James McFadden say I'm a satellite KKR car? Like
that did come out in the beginning of the season when he was
running
it.
That's
literally what they said.
Maybe there could be a lot of stuff they get.
That was one reason why I really thought Macri was going to go in that ride, and it still could. Maybe I don't know, but
I mean the line's technically open in case he's washed. Anyway, we'll
get into that later. 410 team, I don't know. Either he starts his own team or
I don't think he wants to start up a whole team again. I think if he's investing in a team, I mean, I think that there's, I don't know. I guess I'd have to think about that some more as for who that.
Find one based around Nashville because that's where Trackhouse is based as a company.
I feel like a Jason Sides kind of like partnership.
That was my thought.
I was gonna say Kinzer maybe
with a driver.
Maybe try to bring that back to prominence.
Rico, I don't know.
If I was gonna say one, I would say Sides, just because of the Tennessee connection. But that's literally me throwing a bent dart at a board.
That would be cool. Anyway, let's get back to Cup. Right before the Cup race on Sunday, it was announced that Ty Gibbs would be pulled from his ride. He would not be racing. Some people thought maybe he was partying too hard or something like that, but that was not the case. As his father, Coy, passed away, really shook everyone a little bit. the whole Gibbs organization. I felt bad for Ty. I mean, doesn't even really get a chance to like. Showed the picture of him with Coy and his mom, and it was like the next morning he just didn't wake up. So really a tough loss for them. He was a big part of the Gibbs organization, obviously Ty's dad. So announced it right about as they were about to do the national anthem. And you could tell when they were going to you saw definitely a different Kyle Busch. I thought Kyle Busch was, in his interviews, especially after, he was a different person. And obviously, I don't, I would think less of him if he wasn't. But obviously, it just shook everybody. The Christopher Bell team. Coy's nephew was actually the rear tire changer.
Yeah, Jackson Gibbs, rear tire changer there. JD's son.
Was he the one that got his finger caught?
I don't know.
It was on the rear tire. I just don't know.
Well, they had that funky thing that I don't know if they're still doing or not.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was him or not.
Anyway, there's obviously the racer with very heavy hearts. I can't imagine, a guy that you see in the shop every day, and you're trying to go race in the biggest race maybe in your life, and you have to go and try to do it with that hanging over you. But yeah, so rest in peace, Coy. Sad day. But I don't know. You guys have anything else to say there?
I mean, I think you said all the right things. I think you hit it on the head there. But I think it was further reaching than even JGR. I mean, you saw Logano get out. He had spent some time at JGR. It sucks for Joey a little bit for he's in that position where he was sort of the underdog a little bit going in there, and I mean he didn't feel like it, but I think the whole NASCAR world thought he was sort of the underdog and should have had all the reasons to get out of that car and be just jacked up, and it was sort of subdued a little bit. He was happy for sure, but it was on everybody's mind, I think, through the whole entire garage. I mean, Coy Gibbs is pretty influential, has been around, and you talked about Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch kind of grew up there in that organization.
Yep.
I mean, he did and he didn't, right? Spent a lot of time there. He had a terrible race. It was just the season. I agree with you. If Kyle got out and didn't show emotion, it just sort of solidifies what I think of the guy. But
it was already an emotional day for him. Last day where he spent 15 years, and then that happens on the last day. That's just holy shit. I hope it was going to be an ugly breakup there, and I hope this softens it a little bit, where they can really go back and appreciate what they accomplished over 15 years, and it doesn't have to be ugly.
Yeah.
But that's just the optimist in me.
I agree, and just feel bad for Ty. Feel bad for that. Feel bad for Joe.
Yeah.
I mean,
both sons at 49, man. Like, that's mind-blowing.
It's insane. So, yeah, rest in peace, man. Tough.
And just be so out of the blue, like, seemingly, from what we know, just like, boom. Like, you doing press and everything Saturday night, pictures on the front stretch with Ty. It's like, good side, Ty, and they get to experience all that together, but everything after that is just...
Yeah, I guess you can kind of look at it like at least they got that.
Yeah, but it's just shit.
It would have been nice to be able to maybe when Ty wins a cup championship in 10 years.
It would be nice to have it not just randomly end at age 49, right?
Yeah.
Like literally out of the blue. Like we're not talking car crash. We're not talking anything. We're just went to sleep, didn't wake up. Like holy shit. Like that's. There's Ty probably has more questions than anybody or everyone. It's just like what the hell, like. So I mean, it's just a bad spot.
Like Jeremy said, it went through more than just a Joe Gibbs. It went through the entire garage area, and I was watching a NASCAR pre-race when they announced it, and Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty, and I can't remember the guy's name. They were all just very visibly broken up.
So they had
Kyle Petty, he dealt with the Adam thing, and he also helped Gibbs. They had when they had a son die. So
right, and I think Coy raced with Adam a lot because Coy was racing back then a lot. I think was it Snyder. Marty Snyder was hosting the
Marty
pit road
Snyder, that's
stuff.
the, yeah.
He was shook. They were good buddies. I mean, you have that. I mean,
Dale Jarrett, obviously, I mean, he was at Joe Gibbs when he started his
right.
career.
And it's cool to see. I was at Joe Gibbs. We talked about when I was in Charlotte, and Joe Gibbs Racing has a shrine ish to JD, and there's a lot of Coy stuff, and it was. Like, I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's kind of intriguing. I was like, oh, this is kind of weird now.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was there the week before Martinsville, and it's like,
Yeah.
damn.
And one thing that, Denny Hamlin said right after the Ty Gibbs thing last week at Martinsville is, I wish we still had JD. And it's kind of eerie now.
Right.
A week later, it was
thought about
because I felt like that was a shot at Coy a little bit.
Maybe, but I think at the same time, I think it was just how
And that-
JD ran things. Like JD was a different
Right.
different guy.
I'm not trying to
And-
vilify Denny Hamlin in any
No.
way. I just
No,
was.
he's your
It was
boy,
more.
but-
No. It
I'm
was
just
just
kidding.
like, because I don't
just
think
like,
he was
damn.
wrong. I don't think he was like, damn. It felt like this wouldn't happen if JD was here.
These things were
And-
different, right?
Yeah, it was different then. So, tough loss for them. I really give a tip of the cap to especially all the Joe Gibbs. Like a lot of Joe Gibbs cars. I know Kyle didn't have the best race, but he was up in the top 10 at the end of the race, and Denny was there. Truex looked really strong in the beginning of the race, and Christopher Bell just had an up and down race. He looked like he had a pretty good shot at one point.
Daniel Hemrick filling in for Ty Gibbs had a decent run going.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He stepped in there last minute.
He was like
no
15th, 16th,
prep.
I think.
I saw him running 12th. I'm like, my guy, let's go.
And he
Do your
would have
thing.
started. So Ty qualified 10th, but I guess Hemrick took an EOL basically at the beginning of the race and started
you
in the
have
back.
to either start the rear for driver change.
NASCAR said they didn't have to, but he did anyway.
So he just hasn't sat in the car all weekend.
Yeah, I think that was the best move. But
I mean, and shout out
props to
kind
him
of
last minute, man. Like
Jeremy said, go back to that. Go to garage. You had Colleague Racing over there. You had AJ Allmendinger. You had a bunch of people over there trying to find a driver, trying to find somebody to get in that car, and let Chevy, let Daniel Hemrick go over to race a Toyota car. Like that's the kind of stuff NASCAR needs to keep doing. Like we see so many opportunities where we want a certain thing, like oh they can't because they're running a Ford or a Toyota or a Chevy. It's like it's good to see that the manufacturers in this moment be like, hey, he's here.
You could tell
He's
there
a
was
good enough driver. Let it be.
there was some.
He
there
won
was-
a championship for Gibbs. Like
That was one of those moments where the NASCAR community comes together and they all help each other out.
right.
And on the tough's on the sport's most competitive day, you know what I mean, of the entire
Right.
season, they come together. So
So
that was good to see.
It's cool to see. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing else on that.
So getting into the race, Joey Logano dominates. It wasn't really a race. You had Chastain coming
At the end, right?
at
But-
the end, but
My thoughts on Sunday. That's what happens when the best car unloads, qualifies first, and
Yep.
opens a can of ass whooping.
Blaney was the
You
only
can't
guy
hate
that
it.
Blaney was the only guy that could hang with him, and I think Blaney
There was
did
a 0%
Logano.
chance he was going there.
Yeah, I think Blaney did him a solid. I think Blaney could have definitely won that race.
I think
Um,
Blaney was by far the best car, and I think he just played blocker all day. And he
Yeah.
knew his role.
Yeah.
Right. And he knew it. He knew the situation.
Yep.
Sucks for fans, but it's a business, and he made a business decision. Probably the right one for his business. So
There was
even if he can pass him clean, if you go underneath him and you fuck up and you wreck him, holy shit.
I think especially at the end too, what Chastain was coming.
Right,
So
that was
if
the
Blaney
difference.
passes him, now Logano has a clear bumper from Chastain. You can't do that.
And
So,
dirty air.
Yeah, and dirty air. I think there was a cool moment where there was a fuel strategy run in stage 2. I think that was actually pretty exciting. Some guys trying to save, comers and goers, but in the end, it didn't really matter. There was a moment in stage 3. The biggest moment of the race was a little incident between Elliott and Chastain on a restart. There are a lot of Chase Elliott fans that were championing Chastain last week are definitely not doing that this week.
I didn't
Funny how that
hear
works.
anything about this on Twitter or anywhere. So
I did.
I didn't see anyone.
I
I didn't see
any
anyone attacking Ross Chastain.
every Ross Chastain or every Elliott fan was blaming Chastain.
Okay,
So I saw 4 or 5 different people.
that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
Chastain
I don't have
1 million views.
I'm not looking like
last
naturally.
Monday.
I'm talking people I just personally know.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, you're in the championship and you got wrecked by another championship contender, or you spun off their front bumper, whatever you
Yeah,
wanna
whatever
call
way
it.
you call it.
I'd be pissed too if I was a fan, like especially it's Ross, right? If I was a
Mhm.
Chase fan, and the typical Chase fan does not give a like even the smallest amount of shit as to how it happened. It's someone else's fault. It doesn't matter. But so that's completely expected.
It's a big. There was a lot of comparisons to the Edwards Logano situation years ago.
No.
Very similar. I thought it was very similar, where there's a guy blocking and the other guy's not lifting, and just shoving him out of the
Sure.
way.
I don't think it
Maybe.
was a block.
I think it was them. I don't think it was a block either. I think it's them all just coming off the restart, and you're going fucking 19 wide there, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
I think
Chastain
was
just
going-
didn't.
Yeah,
Chastain didn't
Chastain-
lift, and
He was already going down there, and Chase went later than he did, and he went down there, and there was somebody already there, and just a racing deal. I don't think there was intent on Chase's part to be worried about Ross, and there was no intent on Ross's part to be worried about Chase there. I don't think Ross thought he was going to do what he did, and it was too late, and I don't think Chase realized he was up that close to the rear quarter that he was. So that's all I saw it as.
It's a peak racing deal. I mean, I think
It is.
most of the smart people out there recognize that.
I still think it's like 60-40 Chastain. But
Well,
that's
I mean,
pretty even.
They always say you're in charge of the front of your car, your front bumper. I mean, but I don't even know if it was a front bumper. It was a right front quarter panel, and he was already He had already committed to where he was going, not knowing Chase was going to do what he did. Now, again, I think we had talked about this in our chat a little bit. Like, if you got to be prepared for that because it is that part of the track. I think you do. If you're Ross, you have to be like, okay, this guy could do this. But it's Chase Elliott, and you race around him all season, so you kind of, I mean, there is some comfort level there with guys' comfortability to race around them. You know, I can't imagine he would think, well, if Chase turns down here, he's not going to wreck himself, so he's not going to do that. And it was there. It was in his lap before he could really do anything about it, and it happened so fast. And that's why I think Chase right away came over the radio to his team and said, did I do something wrong there? He honestly didn't know he was there, didn't realize what was going to happen.
I don't
So-
think he did anything wrong.
I
to be
think
honest.
both of these.
don't
If
think
you
either
anyone,
did.
a spotter, it's a spotter. You gotta communicate the situation. Like Ross isn't lifting there, nor is anyone else that's not in a Hendrick car lifting there. If you're in Ross's spot, because
To
it was
me-
so close.
To me, it happened so quick that I think even if the spotter said Ross is coming, he's already hooked up on his bumper. He's gone.
Yep.
I think it
Peak-
just happened
peak
so
racing
quickly.
deal. Peak racing deal. If you talk about like, and by virtue of what that track is and
Yeah.
and how they have done it.
And
Please.
I think we agreed too that like if it wasn't this weekend and it wasn't this race and it wasn't what the stakes it was, if
Yeah.
Ross had any moment to back out, he backs out.
I think
believe
if this is March, that doesn't happen.
No.
well, I don't know.
No, I think
He was
Ross does
kinda
that
doing some dumb
regardless.
Shit in March. I think
Yeah.
if it was last week.
Yeah,
it
maybe
wasn't-
he doesn't.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I
think
I
it's-
have a weird because it is Ross. There's that moment.
I
of
don't
like,
think he does it in March because of where they were running. That's why I was saying that. Because
why? He
they were
wrecks
so far back.
everybody every week.
I think Ross would do that any week. That's Ross Chastain. That's peak Ross Chastain right there.
Oh yeah, that
Not
was
giving
when
a
they were- he
fuck.
was on
I'm giving
Grand
every
Tour.
inch.
Like
He's
Yes.
getting every inch that he can get. That's what he's gonna do.
in March, the no give a fuck tour was in full effect.
Yeah.
And the tank was full, and he was getting after it.
Yeah, and it went.
I just think
It burned
the
heavy
stakes
into
are
the
at-
summer.
Yeah, the stakes are a little lower. I don't think he might give some grace if he had time.
He
I,
might
I
crack it.
I do
He might
think-
crack the throttle.
if
Yeah,
if
if he
Chastain instead of going 100% throttle went like 88% throttle, they avoid that wreck.
Sure, but he had a big ass run and he was taking it and didn't expect.
I don't think he had that big of a run. Everybody's saying he has this big run. It wasn't that big of a run.
Wasn't that different?
No, that's what I'm saying. He was maybe going a mile or two quicker than him.
By the time they get to turn 1, he's door to door with him, but he wasn't like this massive run that.
Yeah, that's it's not like Chase was that slow and he just get the fuck out of my way. He didn't have that much of a run. I think that's why I put a little bit more blame on Ross. But it's a racing deal. It's a product of the restarts at that track.
Yeah, and it's two schools of thought. I know where Chris is kind of saying like no one else did it all night, and they had plenty of restarts. It didn't happen with anybody else, so could this have been avoided? Probably. But are you going to in that situation? No. If unless Ross is like, hey, I could wreck myself doing this, right? Like.
Right. That's the only reason to back out. Am I gonna die doing this? Probably not. Is my car gonna die? Probably not. Don't give a fuck.
But it was the shitty part. It's twofold. Makes more news than it should have because it was Chase and he was in the Final Four.
Well, it's two championship drivers.
It's championship driver, and it basically ended his day. And kind of shout out to Chase, man. When he came around to lap him, he had an opportunity and
didn't do it. He got close, but didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
His spotter did say it looked like he turned right, and on the one replay, and I don't think he turned right to intentionally wreck him, but he did turn right. That was to get Chase to get off his bumper, to definitely avoid it. So I think they were looking at that, little conspiracy there that saying he turned right. I don't think he turned left. That's for sure. I mean, he could have turned left and maybe avoided it as well. For me, when it comes to racecraft,
down there though, it's just rough.
When it comes to racecraft, you are responsible for the guy in front of you. We talk about it in our sprint car races all the time. Ross could have given a little bit more there, but I'm not saying he had to because it's the circumstances.
Well, the only thing Ross did wrong, and I'll give him 100% blame for this, is that it wasn't Joey. Like, come on, man, get good. You do better.
I was totally fine with it being Chase Elliott too. I didn't want to see him win, to be honest.
I would have preferred to be Logano.
But I would have. But then that means we had to see Ross win, and I don't know if I want to see that.
Oh, well, yeah, I did.
I didn't really.
Yeah. Seabell or Chastain were the only two that were mildly acceptable.
I definitely went Bell. I would have put Chastain second. Logano, Elliott. Elliott was on the bottom of my list.
You had to pick Seabell of Eddie.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
It's only because he picked him on the show last week, so now he had to make sure he was
Final Four for Jimmy, though.
Well, there was some.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a little added sympathy with the whole Gibbs thing too. I think at the beginning of the race.
I didn't give a fuck. Ross Chastain.
I thought about that. I was on Team Ross.
Yep. It's close.
So, that's really it. End of the NASCAR season. Last run we talked a little bit about Kyle Busch. Also, last run with Tyler Reddick before he goes to 2311.
Last race for M&M's and Mars Company.
Yeah, that's not really a big deal.
They've literally been in the sport for like 70 years.
Like, there's always only one champion, right? Just like the NFL, there's one Super Bowl winner, 31 teams go home mad. But do you feel like there were so many teams that were just ready to get this over with? Like,
yes.
Yes.
You're like Elliott
especially once Coy Gibbs came out.
Yes.
Like Elliott talked about it. We know Kyle Busch. We know, I'm sure Tyler Reddick, right, with his issues. Alex Bowman, the 2311 deal. I mean, just so many teams and drivers and people that it just felt like they were like, finally, this is over. We can get a little bit of rest and get ready for next year.
It's a grueling season too.
I think this season took a toll on a lot of people. The teams, the money, the parts, the tracks, the tires, the everything. Like, I just think it was a taxing year for a lot of people. Stewart-Haas Racing in general. Ford in general. For the most part, even though they just won the championship. Sounds crazy, but I just feel like everybody was like, okay, all right, I think this is finally done.
Briscoe looked good.
Very good cars. I mean,
Harvick was up there too, yeah. I think
Briscoe was faster than him all day, which is pretty wild.
It's been a long year.
He won the Phoenix race earlier in the year, didn't he? Chet
Yeah.
Briscoe, so it doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah, we talked that it doesn't really matter, but
Yeah.
I guess it did a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Chastain finished second in that race. But
Yeah. Chris said none of that would matter, but that's cool.
no, I said it would matter. Jimmy said none of it would matter, and then brings it up this week as reason why Chase Briscoe was running good.
I think
Fuck out of here.
One that said it wouldn't matter. Anyway,
But
Was he
I
up
think-
there? Briscoe wasn't up there at the end, though, was he? So I said he ran well. He wasn't a contender to win.
What are you talking about? Doesn't matter. I think the fact that there's no off weeks is why you get those responses when you get to Phoenix. Like, if you're not one of the 4 guys competing, you're there to cash a check, get the bag, and go home.
If they have an off week in August, I don't think that changes the way they feel yesterday.
They haven't. No, you're probably right, but still, you haven't had a weekend off since when?
you know what's shitty too? You have to go all the way across the country for this last race. Like
Right.
home base is North Carolina, and you have to fly to freaking Phoenix for the last
Right.
race.
Well, you had to
More
go.
reason-
You had to go Vegas, down to Homestead, up to Martinsville, back out to Phoenix in a month.
Just make Homestead the championship race and be done with it.
Please,
Fucking at this point,
Can
make
we-
the Coca-Cola 600 a championship race because it would be better for the teams.
I wouldn't hate that
It
either.
would be a terrible race, buddy.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that at all.
The Roval 600.
No,
No.
the oval, buddy.
No,
Yes.
24. Hear me out. The 24 hours of the Roval for the final race.
Definitely give me.
Wait a minute, though. We could be on to something. Coke 600 championship race, same weekend as the World Finals at the dirt track. Boom.
No.
Absolute logistical nightmare for SMI.
Give me Homestead, or even give me Vegas. I wouldn't hate either one of
We're
those. as a
trying to keep it on the
championship
East
race.
Coast for the sheer fact of keeping it close to home.
I don't really care about that.
Give me Homestead or
Give me a good race for the championship race
Rocky
because it
Man.
wasn't.
Well, I remember, when we were all at Homestead, everybody bitch, oh, this is Kyle Larson. He's the only one that can win here.
The
They
track
took
is
it
so
away from
racy.
I know. The whole English-speaking world knows it, and it doesn't go back. I don't understand how this is so difficult.
I'm fine with it. I understand why it hasn't gone back to Miami because attendance, it wasn't what it should be. But, and it's Miami. But,
Yeah,
I
sounds
think
awful
Vegas.
that time of year.
No, it sounds good. I mean, it's probably nice down there, but it's not really a NASCAR hotbed. You know what I mean?
Phoenix is better?
They have a city that's all in on the championship thing.
I get
That whole city changes for championship weekend. They make it their thing.
I mean, if we're
So
talking
I give
about
them credit
cities
on that.
Because the
show up when
Cardinals are
NASCAR
never gonna
comes
win
to
one.
town. If we're talking about cities that show up when NASCAR comes down and takes it seriously, let's just take the final race to Loudon. I mean, they pack that place,
It's snowing already, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. That doesn't.
Also-
make sense.
If you want a city that really respects NASCAR and really loves it, Coke 600 idea is catching steam, boys.
No, it's
Right
not.
in Charlotte.
I'm fine
All
with
right.
going back to the oval for Charlotte, but not for Coke 600.
What's next?
Let's do a little throwback photo of the week here for Dakota Kuhn, who says FDS. A little stiffy here for Dakota. Troy Wagaman.
I don't know why he loves
Jay-Z.
that picture so much.
I don't know either. I wish if you could tell us in the chat why.
He's mentioned it a few times. He loves that picture. I don't.
Is it because of Troy?
Well, that's probably sure.
Is it because the
I think it's the entry
tire?
where he's trying to get to the top. Like it's the entry to 3. There's the pit opening where they come on the track there, and I think just being down left and also trying to get to the cushion. I don't know. There's
the wing?
definitely a
Maybe
cool
the wing
picture.
is really angled and low.
I don't know. Yeah, speak up, Dakota. Like, why do you love this picture so much?
Why do you love this picture so much?
So much. Hey, one thing we didn't mention here, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, shit.
Jimmy Johnson confusing everybody with what the hell he's doing. Anybody understand this?
No.
No.
I know he.
No.
We all knew he wasn't racing IndyCar anymore.
Right.
Maybe the Indy 500. Maybe he does that.
Maybe.
It makes sense for him to come back to Cup part-time and buy into Petty GMS. This is the ongoing. I mean, you got 2 7-time champions owning
Okay.
the same team. This is the ongoing my dick bit is bigger than yours feud between Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson.
Have you seen the Hendrick Motorsports campus?
Yeah,
Gordon's gonna win this.
Bro, Jimmy Johnson is coming in as part owner here. He's just getting into the game. Calm down.
Jeff Gordon got Kyle Larson.
Sure, dude. I'm just saying, like, this is
I mean, I know
more
what you're
Jimmy
saying, but
Johnson
You're making it
following
bigger
in
than
his.
it is.
No, I'm not. This is more of Jimmy Johnson following the footsteps of Jeff Gordon because he wants to be better than him.
Okay, we don't even know how much ownership he has in this thing.
Enough to give him a car.
I love how Jerry's eating chips or something right now.
No, it's enough to get him a car. He's probably just getting his feet wet, dipping his toes in the car. He's never done anything like this before. Dipping his toes in the car ownership. You know, maybe Petty's looking to get out, and
He is
maybe
87 years old. He could wake up dead tomorrow too.
Well, calm down, bud. Yeah,
I mean, he's
could.
old as hell.
But it could very well turn into to GMS Johnson Racing in a couple years.
Potentially.
And listen, cool. Jeff Gordon runs Hendrick. It's not Gordon Motorsports. It's Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah.
So
Gordon owns half of the cars in.
Sure, but he doesn't have a name on it now, does he?
Sure, if that's what matters. I think.
I'm just saying.
I'm not gonna
more of a dick measuring contest. I think
not,
that continues.
Maybe for Jimmy Johnson, but I think the key here is NASCAR wins. I think it's
great.
good to have
It's
Jimmy
great.
Johnson back. I think it's good to have Jimmy Johnson run Daytona 500, which I thought was a little surprising because most guys, when they get out of the car full time, don't usually select super speedways to go back to.
That's probably one of the easiest ones for him to make with an open car.
Potentially.
It's one of the bigger races.
Right. So there's 2 cars on speed, 2 cars from each duel, or 2 cars from the duels.
Maybe that's something that Jimmy Johnson wants to do. He's like, hey, I never had to try to get in as an open car. Let me try this
No, I
challenge.
doubt that highly. I think you hit it right in the head earlier in the week. We talked about it with the sheer brand aspect, the amount of attention Petty GMS is going to have with, I'm presuming, the 44 car at
I don't know.
Daytona.
And you have the debut of Noah Gragson at the same time.
Having that car,
Promising kid in Eric Jones.
I think the
Things are looking
44
up.
car has to be the 44 car to keep it consistent. Either way, you're gonna have a lot of brands, a lot of partners. Good for them. Good for Eric Jones. I think Eric Jones probably is the luckiest bastard around right now because leaves Gibbs or gets sent from Gibbs, gets the only ride he can get, which I really like the Petty guys. And since then, they just kept getting better. And I mean, how long until they pass RCR? How long until they're on the same level as RCR?
I was going to save it for our preview show later in the off season, but I think Eric Jones turns in. I think he could be next year's, for better or for worse, Chastain. I don't mean driving style. I mean,
no, he's just going to be a surprise guy. And
I don't think he's going to be a surprise. I think he's going to be a top 5 guy. I really do. He was most of the last half of the season, man. He was there.
Right, we can save for that. Like, we're talking, maybe we'll save for that. But like colleague, RCR, we talked about their relationship. Does Petty GMS stay with the RCR relationship, or do they take this opportunity to go join up with Hendrick?
And that's the thing is Jimmy Johnson's connection now might get him in with Hendrick instead of RCR, which is probably
so now
the better
you have,
move.
Which is a better move. And now for Chevy, you and they're all working, intertwined anyway. But if Petty GMS is working with Hendrick, you have RCR and colleague. You now have kind of changed the landscape.
You have split up Chevy now.
And how long do they keep helping each other? At some point, the cars are all the same.
Well, they kind of have to though, because I mean,
all
the parts come from one team.
Right. I think it's great for NASCAR to have Jimmy Johnson back. I don't know if it's great for Jimmy Johnson to be racing, but that's Jimmy Johnson's choice, so whatever.
I mean, we don't know what other races he's going to race and how part-time he is. I look at maybe 6-7 races.
If he races 6 or 7 races, I'll be stunned.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like he's here to race Daytona. He's going to run the All-Star race because he's locked in. Then we talked about this a few weeks back. He's locked in by a past champion thing. So he's guaranteed to run Wilkesboro. So that race will happen, in my opinion. And I mean, where else? I think he hits the Coke 600. I think he hits the Southern 500. I think he hits the Crown Jewel races.
So that was what? That was 5 races? I said 6 or 7?
It doesn't matter. Science.
So oh, my bad.
Idiot.
I didn't realize I was doing it.
I like all night, and it's okay if okay. All right, everybody.
I knew what he was talking about. I was
private
just
messaging each other, and I told Jimmy to stop messing with his mic, but I just wrote, yeah. Can you? I guess you don't hear the feedback, do you?
I don't hear that. No.
no, we can hear that.
It's
Oh, okay. My bad. I don't know. I can't hear shit. So
just making it better for you, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really not annoyed by it, but I'm just making it better for everyone.
I didn't know there was feedback there.
Anyway,
I'm
Jimmy
sorry.
Johnson coming back. I had to walk away. My daughter woke up and was walking around her upstairs like a sleepwalking toddler, going, "Daddy." I can't say it's a bad thing for him to come back. It's just a weird partnership to me. I feel like Petty has had 19 partners to save this race team 14 times, and they had a good year, and that's great. But like, where does this end with his Petty team? Like, just millions and millions of dollars dumped in from investors, and this is the first year they've shown something consistently fast for it. It's like, where does this go? What's the point here?
So you kind of walked away when we were talking about it. I feel
Yeah.
like this is Jimmy Johnson replacing Petty in that role when Petty eventually wants to get out. And I think this is more a GMS team now. Mostly.
Yeah.
I think this is mostly GMS.
Been a GMS team since they partnered up.
Yeah.
It's Petty only a name. He's still like the chair of the board or whatever he is, but
And the 43, that's just him. But
There's-
He's in a chair, yeah.
he's bringing absolutely nothing to the table other than the markability of the 43 and Richard Petty's name attached to it.
A hat. What?
this motherfucker.
Uh-oh.
All right. How dare this son of a bitch? What the fuck? You can't just come in here.
How did this even happen?
I don't even know how
By
this
accident.
happened.
How did the troll
By-
get past the moat?
By accident. By accident, quite honestly.
This fucking guy. What
By
gives you the
accident.
right to just come in here?
I don't
I didn't. I was just
understand
gonna
what's
chill
happening.
backstage. I didn't expect to get dragged in here.
I didn't even see him
I was hiding.
backstage.
I did. I saw him like this.
Why is he here? How did he get here?
I thought you were going to yell at
All
Chris
will be
about what
explained
he just
later.
said about
No,
Richard
I thought I
Petty.
said something wrong. All of a sudden, this
I
fucking
was like,
DJ
oh,
shows
Jimmy's
up.
going to fire off. I'm like, I thought he was getting ready to pull the logo up. No, it's this fucking
No,
guy.
I'm about to fire off on FDS here.
I was waiting for the logo to pop up and someone to go, "I'm here in spirit," but okay.
You
I
look like a
didn't think-
spirit. What the fuck? You look like this,
feel
this
like one.
vampire, the spirit of vampire Smeal right now.
Are we being hijacked right now?
He's trying to hijack
Possibly.
us.
He
I didn't mean to-
succeeded. You put him in
Hey!
here.
Anyway, I was gonna say, wait, he didn't have to pull me in, but he did.
Well,
God.
because
Anyway,
all
so
right,
I guess
go,
we come
go
to Jimmy
back to your
Johnson. We might as well.
go back to your role.
We're ready for our break anyway. Are we taking a break? Or are we rolling?
I guess we'll take a break.
We gotta take a
we
break.
did.
No,
was
we did the
was troll
photo. I
the
mean-
photo?
just do the. I'm so
What's up,
baffled
Chris?
right now.
What's wrong, buddy?
What are you baffled by?
How did he even get in here? And why did I have to see his face?
How did he even get to backstage?
Look at him.
No.
I fucking hate
Just keep him
him.
muted. Let him. No. Keep him there. Just keep him muted the whole time so he can.
Ooh,
just,
that's a
like,
good
do
idea.
Shit.
Right, keep him muted and let him on the screen while we're gone.
The ghost of Smeal passed. Ugh, you're so ugly.
It's like, where did he come from?
What is this?
All right. Well, we're gonna take a break.
All right, cool.
We're gonna take a break, and we're just gonna leave it like this. Why not?
I
No,
love it.
we're here. Photo of the week.
Oh, it's so good.
Did you like move his backstage or something? No? Okay, cool.
All right, FDS. We're back. Smeal, how you doing, bud? What? Oh, cool. Good deal, bud. This fucking guy. Well, apparently our old invite link works, so we might have to fix that so this troll doesn't show up. What's that, Smeal? I can't hear you.
So World Finals ended. World of Outlaws Championship decided. Brad
Yes.
Sweet takes home championship number 4.
Don wins the last 2.
Big, I feel like he just like tries to steal the spotlight, man. When it's like, hey, I've been kind of in the shadows. Here comes Don. I'm gonna steal the spotlight a little bit, And I mean, he did, and he didn't. It was cool. I think everybody's gotten this little soft spot for him, kind of like Jimmy Johnson in his career, and like he's not that like dominant winner anymore. So it's kind of cool when he does well. I don't hate him nearly as much as I used to. It's kind of a weird thing. I think a lot of people feel that way. But that was cool. But Brad does his job, right? Carver's fast enough all weekend. Brad does his job. Doesn't screw it up.
I didn't want to come
Doesn't
back.
lose any ground to gravel. Fairly uneventful. Fairly uneventful World Finals, minus a few big ones. But other than that, it was not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, all right, guys.
What?
Stop.
Sorry.
Stop. Pop it up on my screen
We've
here.
gotten fucking hijacked. We might as well just fucking burn it down.
Exactly.
Popping up for you.
Well, Smeal's here now, but we can't hear him because FDS. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't very eventful of a World Finals. I don't think they did do a new format. I know Dakota had some things to say about the format. I didn't think the format was bad, considering that they went to 4 days. I think it's better than doing like a practice qualifying night like they were doing, but it's still too much. What's so bad about it? That's why I don't get.
I feel like it's every. I have a
fire off.
opinion.
I want to hear Smeal fire off.
I have before you do that. My thoughts are
Okay.
this. It's almost like because you see Eldor doing it with the King's Royal. They're trying to mimic what Knoxville is doing with their 4-day event.
Yeah.
But Knoxville every day matters. And these other events, they don't so much. Like I don't know. Like I know there's prelim nights. Like that's just me.
They're trying to make it a championship weekend event.
Like I get it. I'm not against it. I'm just. Everyone's trying to make bigger, more days, be like Knoxville.
The Natty Open tried to do it a couple years ago and it failed.
Right, it
miserably.
didn't work, and they backed it down, which is smart. Tuscarora 50 goes to 3 days now. And the first day doesn't even matter.
No,
so,
none of the days matter.
what I'm saying is the first day has nothing to do with any of the other days, really at all. Like,
I don't know what Smeal's putting his hands up about.
he's gonna fire off. It's gonna be fine.
He's
but
gonna
like,
fire off as soon
but
as
it's just
I
like that's my thoughts. And I
unleash him
get
from
it.
this fucking
I get it from the
cage.
marketing side. I mean, I'm indifferent. I think it's fine, but I do agree that it should be not a practice qualifying night. It's just you keep expanding these events. How long to we're in Charlotte for a week doing whatever.
I think for what they're trying to do, I think this was a good idea. You only have two main divisions that night instead of trying to run fucking 3 every night. And then the last night's the one where you run all 3, and you don't have to do any time trials or anything like that because all that shit's decided. I like that aspect of it because I just think they kill that track. They kill that track. All right, Smeal, behave. I'm going to let you loose from your cage here. Fire off here. Go ahead, bud.
I really don't know what Chris is talking about because the first 2 nights of the Tuscarora 50 do matter.
How?
The winners lock in.
Oh yeah, they
the
did.
50.
They did this year. This was the first year they did that.
And it's different with Charlotte because the first 2 nights this year are just regular outlaw shows, and they moved the 3rd night to a special event format, which apparently they screwed over the late model drivers anyway with the payout.
No.
They changed it. There was a lot of talk from McCready and guys like Pat.
Listen,
No.
they lined up their heat races on Saturday night by the results on the first and second.
No, that's
night.
all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying though.
Okay.
I'm talking about the payout. They screwed
Who
with
cares
that.
about the payout?
That's a different issue.
I'm talking about the format. I'm not talking about the payout.
I'm not a fan of the format because it basically just adds another full show of wear and tear.
So what? You're there already.
Right. But
Don't
the
It's the end
track,
of the season.
Tonight.
I don't think it's the same as what he said like Eldora, because Eldora they've added a second crown jewel anyway with the HBO. That's another $100,000 to win race.
Hold
It's
on.
not
How much was it to win the final race Saturday night at Charlotte?
$25,000.
Okay, no one gives a shit comparing it to Eldora.
Yeah.
Chris
It's
is the
not-
one that brought up Eldora and the fucking 50.
I
I
get
was
it.
throwing them all under the bus, but it's
If
fine.
they went
But
to
there's a
Charlotte
difference.
to race, they're racing every race they can.
Right. Yep.
What's it matter?
Plain and simple.
So 3
And,
full nights of sprint car racing.
Yeah, and they're still paying at least 10 grand out for the winner and all that shit every night. So, and the last night's 25 grand.
And equipment wise, smoke them if you got them. So what are you gonna do with
Yeah.
them? Like, I don't know. I don't. It was 3 full nights of racing. And they all mattered to the next night, which is, I mean, we talked about this actually, and I didn't read the format ahead of time, and we were talking about it, I think, in the Wicked Cushion chat when Brett blew up in time trials or whatever happened in time trials, didn't even make a lap. We're like, well, just park it, come back tomorrow, come back Friday night. They were like, well, no, their points accumulate, right? So if he wanted to have a good shot to win the final race of the year like he did last year, he had to come out, go through the non-qualifier, go into the heat, go through the B, to have a shot to have a decent starting spot on Saturday night. But he was already there. Why wouldn't you? But if it was literally just for 100, just like he did at Eldora, he sat out which race? The one early in the one that got postponed.
Friday night,
the night
yeah.
before, yeah.
The night
They got
before,
rained out.
He didn't race it, so because he's going for $175,000. Turns out it was a good idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing that at Charlotte.
You're ripping it.
Because it mattered, and he's like, "Well, I got the stuff. I didn't hurt it enough to go home." I don't know. I didn't think it was an issue.
Trevor Royer confirmed for tomorrow, by the way. Let's fucking go.
Wait, what's tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow is the PA Posse Awards banquet. And we will have top 5 of both points series and also speed weeks and also a bunch of awards to give out. It'll be a good time, a good year in
Some
review where
driver voted awards.
some driver voted awards. It's basically a night where we all drink
Burn
a
it down.
couple and we burn it down.
If I don't see
Unfortunately,
it-
Like,
It's going to be turned into a roast is what it's going to turn into.
if we had
basically.
unlimited funds and we had the time, it'd be cool to give out little like bridges as trophies.
That
kinda
would be
cool.
awesome. That
Like,
would
do
be
you sit
sick.
across it or something. That'd be
Jeez,
dope.
Jeremy, you know a lot of guys. You know a guy that can make that happen.
I probably do.
Well, if you find them, I also want a JZP diecast made, so figure that one
4
out.
hours from now, okay, I'm on it.
No, I just meant
Engraved and everything
at some point in the future.
with the winners' names on them.
unfortunately for Jay-Z, I'll actually be here this time. I don't need a stand-in.
I think we
Doesn't mean you won't have one.
doesn't mean you won't have one.
You
I
just
call
hijacked
bullshit.
the live show. You
We
don't
have
know
some
what's gonna
tricks up
happen.
our sleeves. We have some tricks. and
You
surprises
let me
up our
hijack.
sleeves.
Correction.
I brought you in. It's okay.
You didn't have to.
I'll take blame for this. I'll take blame for this mistake.
He brought you into this
gotta-
world. He'll take you out of it. That's what my
I
mom used
can,
to
I
say.
can take it
Who
right
did
out.
that at the Natty?
Samir, we have all kinds of surprises lined up, buddy.
You don't even
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Tomorrow
You don't
night,
even know.
7:30.
7:30 p.m.
T2T
PA
award show
Posse
for the
Awards
PA
banquet.
Posses.
Let's
Did
get ready.
Did he finish top 5 in any of the point standings?
He finished in both of them,
everyone.
actually.
All
Okay,
of
so
them.
at least he'll win something. Okay.
Yeah, so at least we get to talk to you about being top 5 in points.
Yeah, I get a pity prize for finishing behind May and Roy every week.
Well, you show up enough.
And you also showed up
You're
every
further
week, so
back
good for you.
You know, if more people show up every week, you'd be behind them. But
You'd probably be like 12th.
here we are.
So anyway,
He gets a participation trophy.
Not an engraved bridge though, so fuck off.
do we have anything else to talk about on Dirt? BAPS this weekend, possibly, if we don't get nailed with a fucking tropical depression or whatever.
Pick our
Sunday
maybe
looks good
Sunday.
though.
Sunday does look good. Cold, but good. I
We
wouldn't expect
race-
anything less for BAPS.
If
Also
we race
depends
on
on how much
Sunday,
rain
I'll
they
be
get.
there really early.
That's a
I'm
good
off on
point,
Sunday.
Smeel.
I'd be off Sunday too. I work Saturday, so I'd actually show up late Saturday. Now I only work 20, 25 minutes from there, but I'd be a little bit late to it. But if it's Sunday, that could be. Ooh, can I even-
Jay-Z and I are twins.
Sunday.
Right now, I got it moved around. I leave at 2 o'clock. I could be there by 2:30 on Saturday. Sunday, be there at sunrise, boys.
That could be fun. Kegs and eggs, buddy.
Let's go.
Eggs
I
and
know-
eggs.
I don't know if I'll make it back Sunday, but y'all can have fun.
Well, you wouldn't
we
drive
didn't
down
ask him
Saturday.
yet, but solid drop in there, bud. I was thinking, why do they have 3 divisions?
Always.
Yeah, that used to always be 2,
Well, it's 2,
and
and then
now
what,
they
an
have the enduro
race
class now.
after it. What does
No,
that
you
even
know
mean?
what they did last year? They had the enduro
Yeah,
class, but they didn't run till after everything else was
Right,
done.
which is what's
like we
happening
were
again.
leaving.
It's 50 laps.
After
Yeah.
both the other
It's
features,
after
though.
everything else.
They won't even come out on the.
They don't even come out for hot laps until everything is over.
I'm here
Right.
for it. I can't wait to see it. I don't even know what cars or what they're doing. Or
I think it's a four-cylinder bang-banger race.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what they
I don't
call
even
it.
think
Yeah.
they practice. I think they just roll out and fucking send it.
Pretty much.
I
They get
lied.
like a hot lap session.
I gotta get across the track before they start that. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I thought it was gonna be something cool.
You got mud turtles
It's-
too. Mud turtles.
I could deal with
Are
that.
they the real mud turtles or are they the baby mud turtles like last year?
Baby mud turtles.
Baby mud
Love-
turtles.
Baby mud turtles are fun. I like baby mud turtles.
Speaking of though, they're bringing them back to the Grove next year. That'll be fun.
Yeah. That's another. Grove also announced their season opener, Wingless Sportsman, as the support class. Let's go, Brett
There you
Paragon.
go.
We're gonna be fucking beer showers and fucking on the front stretch when he wins.
Off the new
Penguin
brand.
right.
Parago, baby. I think I like that nickname. BPP. Brett Penguin Parago.
What a club.
Anyway,
It's the best
I saw,
Penguin club.
What, Lincoln's
Right.
gonna have modifieds next year. They announced also.
I think so. Yeah, I forget
The
name.
modifieds are going around. I think they're trying to find. I think they probably panicked. I think some of this is probably them panicking
Bedford
when they saw
or
Grandview was
Grandview.
going out and they started scheduling at other tracks, which is
And-
smart.
And I
like
think it's good.
Can we get Steele replaced, please? Eiler, if you want to come on right now, I'll put you on.
Can't spell my name right.
I mean, I don't like FBE. Doesn't have the same ring as FDS.
No.
So, the dates on that, by the way, Lincoln, the second weekend of the year for them will have the modifieds, and then the last Friday of March will be at the Grove.
Second.
Wait,
Usually,
Wait,
week 2
what?
for Lincoln's usually just 410, so that's kind of cool. They have something added. in.
so you said mods last Friday of March? They're not there.
Yes.
Not never mind. That was
No, opening day
Ignore me.
sportsman.
Ignore me.
Yeah.
And I don't remember Williams Grove having opening day with any other division. Right?
Correct. Usually, if they did, it would be maybe 258, but it's been a while. Usually, it's 410 only.
Last
If
couple
I remember
years,
right.
they've had a support class on opening day.
Since I've moved here, it's been 410 only.
Yeah, that'll make it more dry slick. That's great.
Fucking Lance.
But I hope
I
it's
don't know
not
what it
20
is
about
mile an hour
Lance,
one
baby.
again.
I don't know what it is about Williams Grove opening day, but it's always like 37 with 30-mile-per-hour winds.
Yep.
Yes.
Lincoln's opening day could be 60 or like cloudy and 42.
Yeah. Yep.
But like Williams Grove, no, it's like a wind tunnel. I don't.
That's
know.
because Williams Grove, one,
These
they
little
do.
Feels.
Yeah, and well, no, it's they'll fucking run it. It's always
No
like,
matter what, right?
yeah, they'll just run it. Lincoln will wait for the right weekend to run the icebreaker.
I
'Cause they have
remember-
nothing to lose. They schedule it in the fucking beginning of February, basically now.
Well,
So-
these other tracks
And now
are
it's 2
creeping
days.
Close,
Yeah.
Well, these other tracks are creeping closer and closer to Lincoln's like window. Like
Yep.
it's only
They're
one, like,
seeing-
2-week wait, and yeah, they see a window of like
They're
"Hey, we can do it."
They're capitalizing off of global warming because it's getting warmer here usually earlier.
It was
So,
7 degrees today, boys.
Yeah.
7 degrees today's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's 70
remember
degrees for a week.
my first time I took Carter, she was 4. Williams Grove opening day. Nice sunny 60 degrees behind the bathroom. If you went outside of there, you froze to death. You went behind when the bathroom was blocking it. Dude, shorts and t-shirt weather, boys. Like, it was great.
Oh, yeah.
It was like so cold as hell down in turn 3. And I took it down there, and we were literally t-shirt the whole show. Great time.
Did you guys do a drink it or dump it to NASCAR?
No, I
No.
figured we'd just do one at the end
Title
here.
one? All right,
Yeah.
so we're ready for that, right?
Well,
We didn't do iRacing yet.
Oh.
let's just bring this up real quick.
Jay-Z would rather forget it.
No, I don't know.
Why?
Not anymore.
I'm in the final
That's true.
He's gonna be leading the championship.
He is leading the points
By
actually,
4.
as of tonight.
4 for Kev.
So, going into the final race, it's looking like a T2T.
Don't say a fucking word.
You stop the brakes.
Mm-mm. Don't you fucking say it to us,
Contenders.
son.
Contending.
T2T contenders.
Don't jinx it.
I would
Don't
say
jinx
we're the
what?
favorites.
Isn't it up to me?
Mhm.
It's up to it's yeah.
It
It's up
is,
to
but
Jay-Z.
we all.
I have my fate in my own hands unless you're near me.
Oof.
I was watching your ass for you last week, and look how that ended.
So last week,
If
Jeremy
you
didn't
would've,
win
you
the
would've told me
race,
not
but
to
he
pass
won
the
the.
pace car.
He didn't win the
Whoever won
battle,
that
but
was
he's winning the
dipshit.
war.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
That's a good way to look at it.
Don't think they worked out for
Um,
Truex either.
Who did win? I don't remember who won the race. I don't think it really matters because Jay-Z's winning the points, so that's all we really care about.
It's like Larson winning the other week in NASCAR. Does anybody even really remember?
You
I
always
remember.
did.
I mean, I'd give me 6 weeks, I'd have forgotten he won a race in the chase as a non-chase contender.
Is this a bad time to point out that like they have twin cars that look like Christmas lights?
Oh wait, I got you. Hang on.
What?
Oh, God, why did you?
Oh yeah, I did
I
this on
kept
purpose.
because I was the third car and I had to keep seeing it. I thought it was fucking Chris Kringle out
Smeal's
there.
my best friend.
Chris Kringle.
Look at us. Look at us.
Like yeah,
Hey, it
best
looked pretty
friends.
good running 1-2 at Phoenix. So
I had a great time running third watching it. Just like I didn't know
Car's
Rudolph's
great.
Red-Nosed Reindeer was running second. Like it's fine.
So
Three-
Jay-Z
Car's
should have won.
3-2.
he led 77 laps, and
Yeah, he led the most laps.
I was just following. We were
And-
gone
No,
too.
it was a good time. The car was, I think we were pretty good. The first run there was okay. Guy kind of got out to the lead for quite a ways, and started running down. Got to second, and it kind of leveled out. But at the last few laps before he pitted, I was running him down. Smeal was actually catching me a little bit, and then Ed evened out, and I had a good lap, and he'd have a good lap, and it was okay. And we were getting ready to pit, and a yellow comes out, so it just kept me in good track position. The timing fell that I was in great track position the whole night. The car was fast enough. We were going to split up the last run, 25 and 25, and went like hell for those first 25. And Spiel was right there with me, and we're running, and I looked up, and I'm expecting there were cars behind us on new tires. So I'm expecting the field, like, they were on us those first few laps, and I was running the shit out of it. And I said, I'm going to run these 25. We already had maybe, 10 green flag laps on the tires, maybe?
Something like that.
I said, I'm going to run these next 25 laps as hard as I can run it. So when I pit, then run the next 25. It's 25 hot laps, like, best we can do. So we're out there, we're running and running, and I look up on, like, maybe halfway through that, and I went, where the hell is everyone?
Yeah, we were about the pit window. We
There
were
was
out by like
nobody-
3 seconds.
There was nobody in our rearview mirror anymore. They were on better tires than us, and I'm like, oh. Well, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm pitting this lap. It's time. Yellow comes out again. Literally on the lap we're going to pit. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Going
So
down the
I
backstretch.
go off the banking.
Yeah,
Go to pit.
literally, he's like, I'm gonna pit. I'm like, I don't think you should do that. He goes, I'm pitting this lap. And like, they're wrecking at the start finish line. Do not pit.
I didn't hear that at all. I didn't change my mind until the yellow actually came out.
And then as we get to 3, he's third lane up the track. I'm on the bottom. The pace car passes us, and it pops up pit road open. And I'm like, Jay-Z, we got to pit. We got to pit. We got to pit. And here he comes. Just
Well, I dive off the apron, and it's wide open to the cone, so I kind of sped up. Not crazy, but the way the pit road is, there's like 3 lines. There's like the yellow line, and then there's the first white line, and then the third line is actually the one with the cone that's where you get your speeding starts, right? Your speed road, pit entrance speed or whatever. I kind of accelerated up to the cone, slowed down. I passed the pace car at the first commitment line and got a penalty. So I actually ended the pits ahead of the pace car, which gave me no real advantage. The field hadn't even been bunched up yet, so like it was only Smeal and I, and he was kind of there with me. He wasn't that far back, but it didn't give me more of an advantage over the field because they were already so far back. We would come out of the pits 1-2.
Yeah.
Like it'd be different if we were all a full lap slowed down and everybody was nose to tail, and I would do that and get a gap. That's an advantage, but with iRacing, it doesn't know that. So I earned the penalty. It was 26-second green flag pit stop. So waited till we took the green. I had to try to get off the track and not get run over. Served my 26 seconds. Turned out to be 2 laps down. I came out on the track in like a 4th running position, right behind them. And I really probably should have spoke up at that point and said, hey, let me get back in front of you to unlap myself once. I didn't. The yellow comes out. I get a lucky dog. Yellow comes out again. I get another lucky dog. I get back in the lead lap with the green, white, checkered. I think if I'm if I get myself unlapped and I say something, I speak up, because I was good enough, I was fast enough, I was there, we only ran maybe 3 or 4 laps. Yellow came out, but if I unlap myself and I only have that one lucky dog, I have top 3 or 4 car.
Yeah,
I'm
Smeal got a
passing
Mickey
those
Mouse
other
win.
guys.
That's
So,
2.
2 Mickey Mouse wins.
Smeal's my biggest fan because I've given him a Richmond win and I've given him a Phoenix win now. He probably actually was a little better than me on that 25-lap run because he was
Don't
there
say
the whole
that.
time. He might have been. I don't know. I mean,
No,
I know
like-
I know there were laps where like I would make a little mistake, and he would still be there. Like it never really fell off a ton. I don't know how the last 25 would go, but I didn't have to win the race. But I also know and hope that a satellite teammate, wouldn't force something to win a race he doesn't have to win either.
Wouldn't
But
do
it,
Ty
did, it,
Gibbs.
didn't, it didn't evolve that way.
Fuck
He did
no.
his job at the end there. So
don't think
a
you're
little bit of
far
chaos
off.
at the end.
Like, we had such a good car. Like, me and Chris were working all day on just hitting marks and stuff like that. That we had a good enough car. I was dialed in, but like, first run you were way faster than me. You got to the front before I could, and I was just riding. We got 1-2. We just kept riding, and I kept looking down at the black box, and I'm like, well, we're gone. So I was pulling a Blaney. I was just riding. I was making sure my teammate did what he had to do. We had that
Actually,
last caution.
Technically, Blaney copied you, but it's fine.
That's true.
That's true. I mean,
DBC
fuck.
copies the show.
Penske copies our race strategies.
DBC copies our podcast.
Yep. But, you know, once JC got the penalty, I had a job to do to make sure we brought home that win, and nobody else got points for it. So, very happy to bring home the win for the team.
Yeah.
So
T2T
the way-
leading the team points too.
Lead team points and little chaotic there too. Once I got back on the lead lap, didn't know how it was all going to end up. I think when I came out of the pits, I was 15th, 2 laps down, and was feeling pretty dejected. Got some brakes, got back to lead lap, and I pitted, had brand new tires. And some of these guys had some laps on their tires, so kind of sent it the last 2 laps on that green white checker and went. I got up to, I think I ended up 7th there. All with no contact, no incident points, which is a bonus for our league. Whoa.
Do I?
Doppelganger.
I see it.
No, come on.
It's the hat.
It's the hat. It's
Rock
the
wears
hat.
his own hat. What kind of douche does that? But so we get bonus points for leading lap. I actually didn't know you get a bonus point for leading most laps because I haven't led many laps this year. Shame on me for being a rookie, but got all those bonus points, and then you get 5 bonus points in that league if you end up with the race with no incident points on iRacing. And I finished that race with all that bullshit and went home with 0 incident points. We cross the start-finish line, and a car behind me goes down on the apron, spins out, comes back across the track, and hits me. Kind of wipes me out, actually, and gave me a 4X. And by league rules, I don't get my bonus points. Turns out the guy who did it was drunk, like he has been most of the season. Drives like a drunk driver, too.
He literally says,
Michael,
Michael, drunk Zuver.
Yeah. Fucking Zuber.
Old Zuvi Uni. Unicorn Zuver got me. So I think after found out here about an hour or 2 ago that all the owners got together in the league and reinstated that bonus. So that actually takes me from 1 point down in second place to +3. It should be right because 1
4.
is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't know.
1 to
There's-
even, and then +4 on top.
Math.
My toes. So
You're leading the points. All that fucking matters.
1 down to 4 up going into Homestead, and we're hoping to wrap this up soon as we go to a little practice tonight before bedtime and
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
get things dialed in for Homestead and see if we can put a championship out for T2T.
Damn right. 2 championships, driver and
I was gonna say,
team
you gotta double it
championship.
up, JZ.
Yep.
I sure hope so.
It's in your hands because I don't want just the team championship at this point.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool to win the damn thing. Never thought I'd really, with the lack of NASCAR experience and trying to figure out last year, learn how to racecraft and finish a race and not make these mistakes. Even through this year, still made some stupid mistakes. Not so much on the track. It's all these, jumping a restart with the restart zone and passing the pace car and
Pit
kinda
road
learning
type of
from-
stuff and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of learning from some of those
JZ
things. That
should
you
have
just don't-
like 4 wins.
just don't
but he's only got
practice a
1.
lot, but it's really come together here late in the season with the win at Bristol and really good car at Richmond earlier this year.
That's 3 in a row.
Probably should have had a few of them, but it's really good practice for next year when the real season starts for us.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a long, grueling season next year. It'll reflect pretty much the entire NASCAR schedule. So we will be running weekly, the same.
We're a week behind the actual NASCAR schedule.
Yeah, we'll be a week behind the actual NASCAR schedule. So looking forward to that. But first, we got to take care of the task at hand, and that's wrapping up these titles. So,
And if nothing else, we've got momentum, 3 straight as a team going
Yep.
into this week. So time for Jay-Z to do what he does best and lead the fucking charge. Let's go wrap up a title.
I hope so, man.
So that'll be Wednesday. Tomorrow night, Posse Banquet. We already talked to you about that. Before we get into drinking and dumping and wrap this up, we will probably take about a 2-week break. We'll probably come back after Thanksgiving, and we'll do some off-season shows. We'll try to wrangle up some guests. With the off-season and everything now, there's not going to be too much to talk about, but we'll probably still be maybe pop some videos up here and there. But
do
we'll
some interviews. We got a bunch of people we want to interview. I know Chalk Guy. You asked what we'll be doing in the off season. I saw the comment earlier. You're on the radar. We have some drivers. We have a bunch of cool things planned for the off season to kind of get us ready for next February when we're speed weeks at Volusia and Daytona and otherwise.
We'll try to get out, do racing extravaganza here in the York Fairgrounds. Do maybe some content from that. We'll get some pictures and see what's going on there.
One of my favorite shows.
I love that event every year. Spend a lot of time there throughout that weekend. It just feels like home. Growing up, going to that event every year, trying to get one night.
It used to be called Dirt Tracking, right? That was the Dirt Tracking show.
For years.
That's what I went to growing up. It was always like Super Bowl weekend going there. It was a good time.
It made Jimmy
it's contagious.
Sure. So all good stuff, man. Looking forward to the off season a little bit. Get wind down, spend a little time at home. Been a long season.
Yep.
We
got one more race though.
Long season.
Hopefully,
we hopefully got one more race here at BAPS, and this is I've been looking forward to this race almost all year. For some reason, we had such a blast last year. That was kind of.
It's the perfect cap off to a year.
The shitty part is it went from 0% chance of rain
to
95.
Out of nowhere. It looked like it was going to be a beautiful day Saturday. It still might. You never know how this thing's going to go.
Right.
But hopefully we get it in this weekend and we see a decent race and just have a good time, and probably one more time before we all see each other before February.
Chili Bowl, January.
Chili Bowl will probably have a party at my house. Maybe we'll do like a watch party type of deal or something. But
I mean, it's looking way far ahead too, but I'm excited because I just booked my hotel for Kings Royal next year.
Yeah, cheers.
So we will be on the ground for fucking Kings Royal, me and Jimmy.
What are you even doing here still?
I don't know. You've let me stay this long.
We are trying to organize something for Kings Royal next year. I really got to look into if I can do it. So hopefully we get everybody there.
I don't know about everybody. I know I'll be there. So
cheers to you, my
friend. On the ground. We will be on the ground at the Kings Royal.
FDS.
FDS.
Drink it or dump it. Let's go.
Drink it or dump it.
Jeremy
should go first.
All right. This will be a selfish one, I guess, for my drink it. First full-time season doing photography here in Central PA. Kind of really learning the ropes. Kind of my rookie season is over with that, and some more great times and things went this year than definitely bad, and there's always some good and bad with these things. It's a hobby. I didn't make any money doing it. I had a great time learning it. I went to some new tracks this year. Went to Williams Grove more than I ever thought I would ever want to go to Williams Grove. Just working so close to it. Saw some great events, saw some great racing, some great wins. Captured a lot of cool moments this year. The fans, and what the essence of our local dirt track scene is. Certainly a rookie at it, but I think it was a lot of fun to capture a lot of those moments. Some good, some bad for sure. Guys, bad nights and a lot of good nights in Victory Lane and capturing that stuff. So, most of the tracks in Central PA were super welcoming, and it was a ton of fun. And looking forward to next year, whatever that may bring. Who knows what it does, where it goes. I would like to have the opportunity to go to some NASCAR or fairly semi-local IndyCar. I don't know, just something different. Try it out, see what opportunities present themselves, and just try to continue to do the right things when I'm at the racetrack and make connections and see where it goes. But that would be that for my 22 season rookie year doing that. My dump it. It's got to be the Gibbs family, man. Like I can't think of anything front of mind right now that trumps that. Prayers to their family and the NASCAR community. That community rallies together like no other in moments like this, and it sucks, man. It just sucks.
Well, cheers to that. Chris?
Drink it. I mean, drink it through a good season all around. All the series is coming down. At least, Gravel made a run at it on Brad Sweet, but consistency is key in that series. Just a great race season. It's unfortunate that it's ending, but I think everyone's kind of okay with it ending. As much as we love racing, it's good to have a little break, a little reset for a couple weeks. So, get ready for the icebreaker. Obviously, we have BAPS, but you have the icebreaker and the Chili Bowl and some things to do in the off season. But a good reset's always good. Even in cartoon world, wrapping that up this week, minus support world stuff. That's my drink it up. Just a great season. Made a lot of friends, a lot of good memories, and a lot of good stuff. And dump it. I mean, it's the Gibbs stuff that gets such a gut wrenching thing for Ty to have Martinsville, where he wins the race, right or wrong, like up here, and everyone just hailing hellfire on him. Goes out, wins the championship, getting hellfire, has all that great stuff, and then boom, like reality of life just punches you in the mouth. Like it's like fuck. Like it's a tough spot for him.
Smeal, you want to do drink it or dump it?
Yeah, why not?
It doesn't matter what you think. Get the fuck out of here. All right, go ahead.
I was gonna drink it up to that.
Might as well. Nah, I mean, I'll piggyback off Jay-Z and Chris. Like, it's just been an awesome year. I think I've been to more races this year, and I have the last two. And it's been awesome because what was talk 12 months ago of all of us go, oh, yeah, we got to get together at the track, turned into one of the most amazing fucking fun years at the racetrack with this little family of D-gens that we have. And, it's more fun than I could look forward to on the weekends. So I'll drink to that. Eiler can kiss my ass. And, the only dump that we have tonight's for Coy Gibbs. So.
Yep. Very nice. I agree with everything you guys said. My drink it is to the next gen car. What a phenomenal first season. Racing's been great. It still has its flaws, but I don't think NASCAR could have NASCAR had a season this season that F1 had last year, where it just helped grow in popularity because of how exciting almost every week was. So I'll give that the next gen. I think is really reviving the Cup Series a little bit, and I think they did a great job. It still has some work to do. Obviously, every new generation of car has that, but I will drink it to that. I think it produced a great season. Obviously, drink it to Coy, but I am gonna do an extra dump it here.
Dump it to Coy. Just
dump it to Coy.
A lot of crooked dog heads right there.
You should drink it to Coy.
Oh,
I mean,
well, cheers to Coy. Cheers to Coy.
Cheers to
Rest
Coy.
in peace.
Might as well drink it.
Dump it to Coy. My other dump it though was gonna be Junior Motorsports. You had 3-on-1 against Ty Gibbs and you didn't get it done. That's embarrassing. And your other guy tried to wreck him in the last lap and he still couldn't do it.
No, he didn't.
Okay. You forgot that he even made a move that remotely closely slowed Ty Gibbs down, so you can't dump it onto that. And two, only one
here
of
we
those
go.
three,
All the Junior Motorsports fucking fanboys coming after me.
Only one of those three guys had competed with Ty Gibbs all
3-on-1. 3-on-1.
It would have been 2-on-2 if Ty didn't do the dumb shit at Martinsville.
Anyway,
but
Doesn't matter. It was still 3-on-1.
Holy fuck, bud. Whatever. That's Jimmy's right.
That's
Tomorrow night,
Jimmy's
7:30.
7:30
back
tomorrow
here.
night.
Award banquet for the posse. Should be fun. Lots of stuff to hang out. We have the FDS award, Most
Yes.
Improved Driver award. Tough Luck Award, Tyler Walker Award, because Tyler Walker is a posse legend.
Tyler Walker is a fucking legend.
Tyler Walker. Okay.
Jimmy,
you're
just
fucking
mute your mic.
fired. You're fired. Best period car.
Junior
Most popular
Motorsports.
driver. No.
Ryan Broderick,
don't
Junior
engage.
Motorsports equals bust. That's my boy right there.
Quiet down
Denny,
there, Florida man.
We're not talking about Denny Hamlin. So tomorrow's
I'm
gonna
not
be a really
talking about
good
Denny
time.
Hamlin either.
We have the most clean driver award. We have a lot of fun. We know there's a bunch of skits, bunch of interviews. We have the top 5.
Chris has a fucking video to make here, so chop chop.
Top 5 of all the points. It's gonna be in there. It's gonna be a good time. So tune in tomorrow night, 7:30.
I can't wait to
TQT.
see the video. There's a very big video montage that Chris is putting together. He's been working weeks on this.
Is Chris sober enough to finish that tonight without
First of
deleting the
all-
file?
First of all, no. No. This is not how this went down. I'm now Jimmy's scapegoat because I put a good idea out there and it
What else is new?
You're the one that put the idea out like you were gonna do it.
was an idea.
You made me make the fucking channel in the fucking Discord.
I do ideas. You do
I don't-
production.
I am not your slave, bitch.
Would you like the
With
sober
that-
person in the room to do it?
Yeah, Smeal,
with
please do it. Smeal, please.
With that, we are out.
Because I actually
We're
know-
out.
I can't-
We will be
I
back
actually
if
can't
you
end it. Jimmy has to end it, but it's
if
fine.
if you don't tune in tomorrow, well, then you're done fucked up. But if you do tune in tomorrow after that, we will be back the Monday after Thanksgiving. That would be Monday, November 28th. So we'll be back. You'll probably still be hearing from us. Great season, y'all. We will see you guys.